All right, so following a speech in which Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar seemed to place the interest of Somalia above those of the United States, some Republicans have called for Omar's resignation, noting that her speech emphasized the need to protect the borders of Somalia, which she referred to as our land. Now, this was in her district. This was in the state of Minnesota. The problem was that she was not speaking English. She was speaking in her native tongue. And so she has disputed the translation of the speech, but she did repost a translation that quoted her as saying, "While I am in Congress, no one will take Somalia's seas, and our land will not be balkanized." Now, I would think that since she's in America and she's a member of Congress, our land would be like our land, not Somalia's land. This raises a lot of questions. Joining me now to discuss this is Ken Klukowski, former senior counsel in the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice and a former special counsel in the White House's Office of Management and Budget. He has litigated constitutional cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. He joins us by phone. Ken, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me, Tony.
So, Ken, I want to be very clear about this. I speak English, okay? And so I cannot interpret her speech that she made to Somalis in Minnesota in her native language. So I'm going to, she's disputing the translation, so I'm not going to press that too hard. But I think that in itself is a question that, here we have a member of Congress that we have to try to interpret her speech into English, or translate her speech into English to know what she was saying.
Yeah, Tony, I appreciate the balanced way with which you're addressing that. I, too, noticed as I was preparing for this segment that, of course, everything I'm reading is an English translation of these remarks said in a foreign language. And so, you always, when you're trying to be objective and you're trying to be fair, you're always trying to keep in mind, okay, how much of a spin on the ball might I be dealing with here? And so I'm so grateful that you framed it that way, because we want to be fair to everyone, including people that we disagree with. The general tenor, unless it was the grossest of mistranslation, unless it is just deliberate deception, and we haven't seen any proffered other translation that would be fundamentally different from what we've all been reading, she was speaking of herself, it appears, as a Somali more than an American. And I think that's disturbing in that, first of all, on two counts. First of all, she became an American citizen in the year 2000. As part of her oath of citizenship, as someone who was not born here, she has to take an oath and go through a process to become an American. In that oath, she swore that she would reject all foreign allegiances and that she would give her allegiance first and foremost to the United States of America, that would be her country now, even against her former country if necessary. Of course, you always hope that's not the case, but that's part of the citizenship oath, is you're saying if America actually goes into conflict with the land I came from, I will stand with America against the land I was born in. And so that is the baseline. And then on top of that, she then took an oath of office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, which charges her to be a representative of the hundreds of thousands of people in her district of Minnesota. Not any particular religious or ethnic group, whether from Somalia or anywhere else. Her job is to represent the people of her district in the United States House of Representatives and no one else.
Right. She pledges allegiance to that, to bear truth and allegiance to the Constitution and to the United States. So the fact that she would be talking in fact, to paraphrase one translation of this, is that she basically said she would be working for the interest of Somalia in the Congress. I mean, is that not a violation of the oath of office?
That is frightening, and that certainly is. And this is where, again, we say with the caveat that it was spoken in a language that I don't speak and you don't speak. But, unless the English translations that we've all been reading, unless they are nothing short of propaganda and totally divorced from the actual language that was used, then unless that is the case, and one would think if that were the case, that stories would have come out to that effect, saying, they say these words mean this, they mean something totally different. Right. With that caveat, absolutely, it is. So, I mean, this was a very disturbing sentiment that she expressed, even if one or two words got garbled in translation.
Yeah, and Ken, to me, it speaks to how our immigration, both legal and illegal immigration systems, are broken, because it was supposed to become people want to become a part of the American family, not tear it apart. Ken Klukowski, we're out of time. Always appreciate your insights on these issues.
Thank you, Tony.